This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
We have guests this evening on the live drive. And of course, I'm here with you all the way till 9 p.m. on the live drive. My name is Kolawole Falodun. Okay, so two distinguished individuals with me this evening, representing both and my cover genius. And they're here to talk to us about an interesting collaboration that has happened or that has been happening for a while and how you can stand to benefit from that. So I'll start with the lady adjacent to me. What's your name?
My name is Temitope Ojemuide from my cover genius.
Okay, good to have you join us. And what's your name?
My name is Yahya Mohammed.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so you both are here to discuss this collaboration. Mohammed, tell us about this whole situation with Bolt and my cover genius.
So I'll take it from Bolt's perspective, and what we're essentially looking at is we have millions of rides happening every year, and we have incidences on these rides. So what we've then looked at is how do we protect both our drivers and riders from all these incidences that do happen. They're ultimately inevitable. So then what next? What can we do proactively to ensure that they have proper cover for whenever anything does happen? So we've then decided to partner with My Cover Genius in terms of finding an adequate protection package which would ensure at least some form of compensation or protection for both our riders and drivers. I'll leave Tim to
So basically it's trip insurance for riders, right? So why is My Cover Genius the ideal partner to do this with?
Okay, we are an insurtech company, which means that all of what we do is powered by technology and is fully digital.
Okay.
So the process is easy, it's fast, it's seamless. There is no unnecessary paperwork. For instance, when it's time to make a claim, we're not asking you for your grandmother's toenail or your grandfather's hair, that kind of thing. So it's just straightforward and easy. And we are very poised for this because we understand both concern for both drivers and riders in-app and seeking to provide protection for them in the case of any eventuality.
Okay.
And the second thing to mention is that our claims process are very swift and prompt. Typically, we close claims between 24 to 72 hours. At the end of that time, you should be able to get settlement for your claim.
I think that's like a major concern when it comes to insurance generally, not just even in your field. You know, when it's time for the claims, we hear stories that touch, right? Yeah. So, but quickly, just give us a quick and efficient explanation as to what exactly My Cover Genius really does, apart from the collaboration with Bolt now. You mentioned that you are an insurtech company. Okay. What else do you do?
So what the policy we are doing for Bolt is bespoke. It's not the regular on-the-shelf products. Like you have health insurance, you have auto insurance. Right. This is just touching on our innovativeness that we're not just doing the regular insurance products. If you want to come to us to curate insurance products for you can absolutely do that. Now, apart from what we have for both, which is the trip insurance, we also have health insurance available for people who want to, protect themselves from health eventualities. We also have auto insurance, we have gadget insurance, and we also have travel insurance available. But like I said earlier, if you want us to create a product suited to your business needs, we can absolutely do that.
Okay, let's speak to Mohammed again now. So this is happening. It's happening right now, and customers who are riders of boats can enjoy this protection. But tell us, what kind of claims specifically? You mentioned incidents, but what specific incidents do these offerings cover?
So, as you know, motor incidents will involve theft of phone devices. We have incidents of death as well, so life insurance. So these are typically the type of claims that we would deal with on an annual basis. And what we then like about the partnership with My Cover Genius is that we're then able to have these seamless claims whereby next of kin of drivers or riders when they lose their device or even medical bills, right? So you have an accident, to a certain extent, there would be insurance coverage for that. So these are the benefits that we do enjoy.
Okay, so how do you ensure quick and efficient claims processing for both users? What's like the first line of action anyway if there's an incident?
Do you want to take that? Okay.
Okay.
So if there's an incident, so depending on the type of incident it is, for instance, if it's theft, that means if your phone is stolen, there's no way. Typically, both drivers there's a safety button in app if there's an accident.
Okay, on the Bolt app?
Yes, you can reach out and say, oh, this and this has happened, and then the support team will be able to assist you. But if your phone is stolen and you can't reach out, what we've done to ensure that claims are settled efficiently and swiftly is that we have several channels of reaching us. They can reach us via WhatsApp, they can reach us via email, they can also call us. And then sometimes drivers log into another device to reach out to both to notify them that this and this and this has happened. Right? There are cases of we had a case of someone who had an accident while being on a boat trip, and she even had to do an eye surgery. That was how ghastly it was. So I guess one of our siblings reached out to both on our behalf to say this has happened on a trip. My sibling is injured and all of that. So there are different channels. You can either reach out in-app or reach out via WhatsApp or email or even put a call across. So these are things we've put in place.
Okay, so to what extent does the coverage cover, basically? You mentioned eye surgery. Now, that's quite a pricey procedure.
Yeah, that's under medical expenses. And I think another thing that both always looks out for in partnership with us is, so there are very peculiar cases, like this one that you've mentioned now. It was really bad. Like the car was hit and then something went right into her eye, so she had to do that surgery. Both also now still provides additional support where necessary to say, look, this is beyond what insurance provides. What else can we do for this passenger, for this driver? That's another thing. At
no extra cost to
so we
to
look
the
at
rider.
Peculiar cases and say, how can we also assist because this is peculiar.
Okay, you're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. We have our friends from Boat and My Cover Genius just giving us some updates as to the collaborative efforts between these two entities when it comes to trip insurance. You're riding on a boat. You're on a boat trip and then something happens. Maybe the car gets hit or gets into an accident, or you forgot your phone, or it gets stolen, or something happens. These are offerings that cover all of these situations. So let's also push across this question. So what steps are you taking to educate the riders as well as the drivers? Because sometimes they might feign ignorance. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what are you doing about that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's regular comms, right? We have various communication channels that we do get to our riders and drivers. Mainly would be through in-app messages where you see pop-ups and you're able just to access those messages. And then within the apps itself, we do have the buttons for safety. So we have our audio recording button, 24 hours.
That's on the Boat app.
It's on the Boat app. So then you can easily leverage those channels. And otherwise, if it happens after the trip, then you can just talk to our customer support. But then we just do the regular channels, emails, and it's why we're here, right?
So the drivers know about these things, because I mean, a lot of times it's difficult to talk about these so-called grammar to these guys.
Yes, so we do have our driver communities whereby we have our own dedicated staff that enter the WhatsApp groups to actually preach the gospel that we have this available. And even on the driver app, which is separate from the rider app that most people have, we constantly push out these messages and we constantly inform them. And even recently we've had a new partnership launch with My Cover Genius in terms of making auto insurance more affordable, whereby instead of paying on an annual basis, you can pay it on a monthly basis, because obviously we know that not everybody is able to afford that extra cost. So we do on our parts to continue pushing these in-app messages, emails, and constant communications.
I think this will come in handy for people who have to who like regularly ride boats, cars, maybe to and fro work, So if you're someone who rides goes on boat rides, there's a big chance that something, I'm not praying that anything bad will happen, but it's life and things could happen.
Yeah,
right?
so I think it's always very important to have that insurance cover, because you might even do a whole year, you don't get a scratch on your car, but then next thing anything could really happen. Right now I was on my way here, right now it just started raining. It hadn't rained for like 2 or 3 weeks. And next thing, a keke was right next to me and anything could have happened. I mean, thankfully, nothing did happen, right? But then the thing is that these incidents always happen, and a lot of it can even be beyond your control. You would rather pay a small price where it's monthly and it's almost, you don't feel that impact as much as when that heavy bill then comes out. Then you already have a cover and you can just be...
I think we have a long way to go when it comes to insurance in Nigeria. People are very skeptical about insurance offerings because of the stories about claims and all of that. Okay, so apart from this collaboration now, you started this trip insurance drive. What else are you working towards as a collaboration?
Yeah, so we've always had our medical insurance collaboration, which our top performing drivers have access to free medical care. We also have our product that's Bolt Send, whereby you're able to deliver products, and we're able to also provide coverage for that. We recently increased it from 50,000 to 100,000 naira in terms of coverage for what you can actually send. So we would also advise people, don't send anything that's too expensive. Don't carry your phone and send it. But to an extent, your goods are protected when you deliver with us. So that's a new product.
And it's the same cars, right? They just come to pick them up?
We have bikes and we have cars.
Bikes, okay.
Mainly for Lagos, it would be bikes. In Abuja, you would find cars and bikes.
You have like bigger vehicles for like heavier equipment?
No. So again, if you have heavier equipment, we advise that if it's with
or maybe bulky equipment, it might not be too valuable, but it might be like weighty or something.
So what you're making by that time being cars and your regular
insurance thing will be an offering for this service.
It's already live. It's already we have with my cover, and we're just looking to expand on that service and just making sure that people feel safe in terms of delivering their packages.
All right. So, what other security measures are you planning to implement in the near future?
So we've already launched safety items like audio trip recording, your 24-hour service I've mentioned. We've done driver verification last year, whereby all the drivers on our platform are verified. This year we're looking to implement more rider verification to also ensure that our riders are verified. We don't have dubious characters on the platform, and essentially it's safe for both drivers and riders.
All right, thank you so much indeed for stopping by. We do want to. So we've had a fantastic short conversation with our representatives from Bolt and My Cover Genius, an insure tech company, and we're looking forward to more good stuff from your end. Okay, so do you want to share your contact information just in case we want to have some more information on this offering?
Yes. So, just wanted to point out that if you're listening to us and use Bolt, every trip is insured. So whatever eventuality happens to you, you have coverage and you can reach out. And we have an email dedicated to this. The email is bolt@mycovergenius.com. That's on the email. And for calls, you can reach us on 090-7000-8899.
Again?
090-7000-8899.
Alternatively, you can always just go to the Bolt app, customer support. They'll lead you there.
Bolt app, customer support.
You get
and voila.
Other channels will be able to
other channels,
you.
All right. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for stopping by. Well done. We're looking forward to having more of you.
Thank you.
All right, you're listening to 91.3. I'll go for a quick break. Up next is The Office on Lagos Talks.
News, information, and laughs. It's Live Drive. 18 million people finally have a voice. This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
You're listening to Kolawole on the Live Drive. This is the Live Drive. The Live Drive with Kolawole.
Join the conversation on the most relevant issues affecting the workplace, as well as the human resource patterns being positioned to solve them on The Office. Get notifications on available job listings and advice on how to apply from featured experts in the industry every Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Lagos Talks 91.3.
18 million people finally have a voice. This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
The revolution is here.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.
Your drive time gets better with Lagos Talks. We understand the essence of variety, so with us, you don't get a straitjacket program lineup. We offer you an array of top-notch programs to spice up your experience on your drive from work. From business to politics to comedy to sports, we've got it all on the Live Drive with Kolawole. The conversation never stops on Lagos Talks 91.3. Don't forget, join Kolawole every weekday from 4 to 9 p.m. on the Live Drive and join the conversation only on Lagos Talks 91.3.
30 seconds with.
I was in England. I started to feel the awareness of having to be an African, because for the first time I came to England, I started to feel, oh wow, so these white people don't like like us too much. This is my experience from having to rent rooms. I had so much. At that time, I read the newspapers in England. House for rent, no colors, no dogs, and all that. That annoyed me a lot. And I met many students.
30 seconds. 30 seconds with Fela Anikulapo Kuti on Lagos Talks
91.3. Be heard. Have your say. Join the conversation on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Classic.
Touch the mic. Thought guys would slow down, but I'm not the type. I just focus on the mission and ignore the hype. Babes trying to tap current cause I got the light. You're now rocking with the best out. Show them, but we giving them a next bounce. My guy carried 5 pies to the guest house. I asked why, Ekbon said he was stressed out. Show them on the mad flex. Whole game went left on the trap flex. But we brought palm wine, me you shot fest. Now they wonder which sound we gon' tap next. Hide in plain sight like Wakanda. Streets on salute like Samanja. Said this Fox with the banger, tech with the banter. But you came through with the lamba.
Rappers can score marks, but soon as daddy's home, better hide your report cards. Cause pen wizard on point like the North Star. If I see a painting, chappy, I advance. Mix a little me with that drink inside a glass. If she touches my shoulder while we talk, I gotta dance. If I draw wood, call it an olive branch. You know what they say about the devil and idle hands. So I got my palm on the small of her back while we dance. Danny Ocean mind state, I'm just being frank. Bet it all on myself, and I've been on a bender. Seen a comic strip, but I can be your avenger. No red flag, just the boss and all the splendor. With some nasty thoughts trying to get to your December. So I said, put your cup up in the air. Oh, Fajila, why you cannot kill myself. So I said, put your cup up in the air. Fajila, why you cannot kill myself. Just to be nice, just to be judge, just to be nice, to be judge, to be nice, just to be judge, just to be nice, just to be judge, just to be nice, to be judge.
Excellence from the center of excellence. This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
Join the conversation on the most relevant issues affecting the workplace, as well as the human resource patterns being positioned to solve them on The Office. Get notifications on available job listings and advice on how to apply from featured experts in the industry every Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Okay, welcome back. You're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. And so sorry, we are quite behind schedule for The Office this evening. We had to sort out some technical challenges, but we're working on it. Our guest is also with us. We're just trying to iron out the technicalities right now. But as soon as we've established connection with our guest, we'll begin with today's episode of The Office. It's going to be a very short version because of these problems we've had to sort out. Okay, but anyways, as usual, The Office happens on Thursdays from 4:30 up until 5 on Lagos Talks 91.3. We get to interview HR professionals, right? So we get to pick their brains generally on all things career and human resource practice. So that's what we do on a weekly basis here on Lagos Talks 91.3. I think we have our guest back with us, so we'll just try and establish connection again. Give me a few seconds to do that. And perhaps if you have questions for us this evening, regardless of how short the show is looking set to be, we could treat them. If you send them to us on WhatsApp, we will be glad to take your questions, okay? Don't forget, it is 0809-234-5913, 0809-234-5913. Okay, so I think we can start off with the conversation this evening. As usual, The Office is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. Our guest this evening is an experienced HR and business leader with experience in both public and private sectors. He has worked in the oil and gas industry, amongst others. Since leaving paid employment, he has consulted across the fintech, ICT, and construction industries. He is the managing partner and CEO at Afro Nexus Limited. Our guest this evening is Dr. Bako Nanzing. He's been with us before on the program. Is a managing partner, CEO, Afro Nexus Nigeria Limited. Good to have you, sir. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kola. Good to be with you again, and good evening to your listeners. Good evening, Lagos.
Yes, indeed. We had to sort out some technicalities. Apologies for that.
Yeah, sure. I also apologize. It seems like it's a national network problem, it appears.
We're going to send a mail to the NCC.
Okay, you can do that. You are the media person, right?
Okay. All right. So let's begin with our conversation this evening. Because it's going to be a short version, we would very much like you to help, make your responses as brief as possible. We want to just have punches on all the questions and make it as brief as possible. Today, our topic is talent management strategies to enhance business growth and sustainability. And our first question is, of course, for you to briefly explain what talent management entails and its importance for business growth and sustainability.
Okay, so I like to define talent as the innate capabilities and dexterities within a human or institutional setup. So by that I mean that often we hear examples, sometimes, and this is quite, I already know that this is related to the world of work. So as an example, you could say this human being has, musical talent, for instance. So the word comes up in statements like that. But within the HR space, it refers to all the capabilities, dexterities, and the innate, abilities in a human person. And then also within the framework of an organization, you could consider the sum total of the skills, capabilities, that are resident in that organization as its human talent capabilities. So I'm using this to illustrate the word talent. Now, once you understand talent within this context, then it becomes easy to understand that any organization, any human organization, must necessarily have human capabilities inbuilt there. Otherwise, you'll not be able to organize, you'll not be able to deploy, you'll not be able to execute, you'll not be able to conceive, formulate, and do all the things that go on within organizations. Therefore, the purpose, or even visioning the organization becomes impossible if the human capabilities and talent are not deployed in the first instance. So, given this understanding, it then becomes clear that appropriate, relevant, suitable, and useful human talent management, capabilities, once they exist in an organization or are brought into the organization, can go a long way in enabling that organization to achieve its organizational aims and vision.
Oh, all right, just to also put this into the mix, so we can go on a quick break. How have these strategies, evolved over the past decade, particularly in Nigeria, and perhaps most especially after COVID-19? How have these strategies evolved over time?
All right, so you will understand that COVID was a global phenomenon. In fact, to some extent, Nigeria was less affected by COVID than many other countries in the world. But as a general global phenomenon, you know that COVID brought a lot of innovation. It brought a lot of shifts in the way that business is conducted and all. So one very clear one that has come on board, and very hugely as well, it's even, one of the things that I and you are involved in is the deployment of relevant technologies, communication and other technologies to enable hybrid work to happen. Now, this is very important because here I am in Jos, in a curfew situation, but I'm still able to talk business or discuss business with you. These tools that have come to be reckoned with globally have enabled organizations to do work in a way that it was never. Some of these tools existed before, like video conferencing and the likes in the past, but it was more or less like elitist at the time. But COVID and post-COVID, we saw the mainstreaming of some of these technologies and capabilities and the embedding of them, both in small, medium, and large organizations. So these are some of the shifts that we have been, both here in Nigeria as well as globally within the workspace. But of course, there are a number of other smaller issues, but perhaps because of time and other constraints, we may not be able to look at them in detail today. But this one that I just described was the major shift. You read on my profile, I have consulted for a couple of organizations within the construction, the ICT, and mobile money and the likes, fintech industry in this country. And from my experience, I find that innovation and doing things in new ways, it abounds across the spectrum. So even though my background was in large multinational oil and gas kind of organizations where one cut his teeth in HR practice, in those organizations, normally the effort and the striving of those organizations is to benchmark across the global arm of the organizations globally. So naturally, it means that you try to adopt best practices in some of these big organizations. I hesitate to call the names of those organizations, perhaps for this thing, but if you don't mind, I could mention a number. But then, since leaving paid employment and setting up my own venture and practice, I've also found out that even in smaller organizations, yes, the resource situation may not be the same, but within the limitations and the scope of their own businesses and organizational spread, they try to mainstream unique type of initiatives that give them competitive advantage within the business landscape. So yes, there are a number of important organizations in the country. Some of them are under trouble now. The operating environment is quite challenging and all of that, and they're putting on their thinking caps and trying to find out how can we bring on new ideas to help. And such ideas include reviewing, for instance, the way they've done things in the past, where there are gaps, and then bringing in alignment to ensure that the processes, standards are raised, and then they ensure that business expectations are met amidst a rapidly changing and transforming environment.
Okay. So, I mean, changing environment is quite important because, I mean, there has to be some sort of impact as we proceed or go along the way. But could you briefly discuss the impact of continuous learning and development on employee performance? Now, productivity is very key, of course, especially as we are beginning to go through this very massive shift in the way we work. What would you say could, in what way, impact employee performance and, general organizational growth? How can talent development influence that in any way?
Right. So one of the things that we skipped because of time constraint was to talk about, if we had enough time, we could have talked about how is talent itself brought into the organization. What should be the framework for strategy formulation around talent itself. Now, briefly, you know that, talents, like I said, are human capabilities and dexterities and all of that. But, you have to understand that everybody, one way or the other, has to be brought into the organization, which is the entry point. You now have to define what is your talent need. Then you have to go out there into the marketplace and acquire this talent, bring them into the organization. And then once they're in the organization, then the current, the activity that you just mentioned, which is training and development, then has to take place, because you see, every talent has to be developed, has to be polished and upgraded and standardized as well. All these processes now go on within the context of the talent in the organization.
Okay.
So learning has come to become a very critical part of this. And, no matter how talented an organization is, or no matter how talented a single, individual or special skill is that you've brought into the organization, amidst the current changing environment, rapidly changing environment in business brought on by technology, global shifts and the likes, you have to stay relevant, you have to stay upgraded, and so on and so forth. So that then highlights the need to continually develop, upgrade, standardize, and in many other innovative ways, upgrade the talent within your organization in order to stay competitive, relevant, and to continue to deliver consistent results for business.